Greetings. Inside the vehicle, somewhere between Bothell and Kirkland, not too far out. But I did the rest of my quiet time today in the car again. I'm beginning to like it a little bit. I think on the work days, I'm gonna maneuver into that. Unfortunately, I won't be able to write, but that's okay. Still designate days where I do that. So as long as I'm receiving the word, I think that it shall suffice, at least for now. The two scriptures I read today, continuing on First Chronicles chapter 21, read about David counting the fighting men. So in the very beginning, it goes, Satan brings this thing into David. Yo, you should go count all the people that you've been conquering. What's the number, right? We can see the issues behind that. Pride. Why is he trying to count all this stuff as if it was him that even was responsible for the conquering? If it wasn't for God, he wouldn't have been in this situation, right? So you see how problematic it could be. So he does that, knowing that it's wrong. He still feels his guilt, and he goes up to God, man, I messed up. Here's this. God's like, obviously he knows. So what do you think that I should do? Basically. And God comes up to him and he's like, well, I'll give you three options. There's three things that you can do. Either have famine for 3 years, struggle for 3 months, I forgot what the thing is, or feel the wrath of God for 3 days, right? You know what I mean? Talk about struggle, picking the lesser of evils, right? Quote unquote. The least good thing, the least, you know what I mean? It's a struggle for him. So he picks the 3 days. Why? Because he's like, I know God, I know your strength, but I know your mercy. Don't give me into all those 3 months of being let into your enemies. That's what it was. Don't give me to the hands of man, because there's no mercy. Even though they're not strong, there's no mercy. So it's basically saying God's mercy is stronger than even his strength. He's all powerful. But think about that, how powerful his mercy is, right? And he was exactly right. God striking them, he looks at it and he's like, he strikes down 70,000 men of David's. And God looks at it, the angel of the Lord looks at it before he does it. He relents, basically. And I think it really has to do with David's heart at that time. He looks at it too. David's like, God, these people are just sheep. I'm the shepherd that sinned. I'm the one that made this happen. If anybody should feel your wrath, it should be me and my family, right? So I think non-coincidentally, I think at that time, God was willing to relent, and he just was like, fine, build me an altar. This is what's going to happen. Do these steps, and basically just show me you're willing to change your ways. And in the Old Testament, they had to sacrifice on altars in order for forgiveness of sins, I had mentioned a couple days ago. So this was just a way for him to do that. I think this story was powerful, right? And it shows all the elements of what God sees in this life. And it's all in the heart. Even though we know what to do, we know what not to do, we still fall victim to it. And there's always consequences to our actions. Let's just be frank. And God is fair and just. He does that. He's a fair and righteous judge. Nobody is above that, right? And so even people who do great things in this life, like David, for instance, the person that we look up to, inspires me on a day-to-day whenever I read his story, but he still falls victim to this. He doesn't show any partiality in that way. However, we have a new covenant, which is so powerful. We have the covenant of Jesus who covers all sin. And that's the importance of the whole thing, the Bible as a whole, right? The law was there to point out what the imperfections are. Nobody becomes righteous through the law, except for the one that fulfills it perfectly, which is Jesus. But that's not the standard that we must live by. That's the saving grace of God, right? He's fulfilled that aspect. And so sin has been conquered. Death has been conquered through him. And so it brings it, the New Testament reading that I read was through Hebrews 7. It talks about Jesus as the high priest, right? In the order of Melchizedek, all right? And I forget what the definition of Melchizedek is, but they say that because under the old covenant, right, the high priest could only come from the tribe of Levi, right? Melchizedek was this guy who met Abraham, who was not of that order. It was not a Levite, but he was a high priest regardless. And they're saying that it didn't matter where Jesus technically came from. He came from the tribe of Judah, which doesn't have anything to do with Levi right now. They're brothers, but it's not the same thing. So it's basically just highlighting the ancestral part doesn't matter. We do it because of the promise. He came through Abraham because of the promises that he gave to Abraham, right? But he's not exclusive to that. So it's showing that there's a new covenant that doesn't have to do with ancestral genetic blessing, right? It has only to do with the oath that Jesus gave to God, right? And he will do this, and God says he'll be priest forever, like in Melchizedek. So I thought that was super cool. The reading kind of just blended in perfectly. God just has a good way of doing it. So those are a few gems that I got from today's reading. It was just empowering. That's all I got for today. We'll see y'all tomorrow.